Welcome to Week in Minutes. Have a nice day. Today is Monday, 7th of July 2025. Now, starting the newspaper with the world news, including Israeli Prime Minister says he believes Trump can help seal a ceasefire deal. Israel to issue 54,000 call-up notices to ultra-Orthodox students. Moscow should focus on business, not politics, says Trump aide. Israel says it killed the Hamas naval commander in Gaza airstrike. Chinese President Xi Jinping skips BRICS summit for the first time. Here's why it matters. Going to see a lot of deals ahead of a deadline. Trump aide says United States nearing multiple trade agreements. Now from the world news, including Israel says it killed the Hamas naval commander in Gaza in a strike. The strike carried out by a fighter jet on 30th of June in Gaza City killed Ramzi Ramadan Abdul Ali Saleh. The IDF has recently carried out a series of airstrikes targeting top Hamas leaders. Israeli military says it killed the head of the Hamas naval force in the northern Gaza in an airstrike, according to a statement from the Israel Defense Force IDF posted on X. The strike carried out by a fighter jet on 30th of June in Gaza City killed Ramzi Ramadan Abdul Ali Saleh. He was described by the IDF as a key figure in Hamas who had recently been involved in planning attacks at the sea against Israeli forces. Eliminated commander of Hamas naval force in the northern Gaza and additional terrorists, the IDF wrote on platform X. The terrorist Ramzi Ramadan Abdul Ali Saleh was eliminated by the IDF in the Gaza City. Saleh was a significant source of knowledge within the Hamas and in the recent weeks was involved in the planning and advancing maritime terrorist attacks against IDF troops operating in the Gaza. Chinese President Xi Jinping skips BRICS summit for the first time. Here's why it matters: because China is preparing for a major political meeting expected no later this year, and Xi Jinping may be prioritizing the domestic planning over international travel. Xi Jinping is staying away from the Rio de Janeiro summit to concentrate on managing Chinese economic challenges. Chinese President Xi Jinping will not attend this year's BRICS summit in Brazil, the first time he has missed the annual meeting since taking power. CNN reports the decision reflects his focus on China's domestic economy and limited expectations for the summit's outcome. Two-thirds of humanity still lack proper representation in the 20th century global institutions. Prime Minister Modi BRICS leaders' declaration include explicit condemnation of Pahalgam attack, a cross-border terror, calls for UNSC reforms, supports Palestinians' right to an independent state, Salam's attack on Iran. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the session on the peace and security and reform of global governance at the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil on July 6, 2025. The BRICS leaders' declaration adopted at the summit in the Brazilian city of Sunday, July 6, 2025, reflected India's key concerns, especially on cross-border terrorism and global governance reforms. I think that the global south has often faced double standards. The Prime Minister called for a greater role for the developing world in an international decision-making, speaking at the BRICS session on peace and security and reform of global governance. First session of indirect Hamas-Israel ceasefire talks ended inconclusively, Palestinian sources say. Benjamin Netanyahu said before his departure to Washington that Israeli negotiators taking part in the ceasefire talks have clear instructions to achieve a ceasefire agreement under conditions that Israel has accepted. Smoke rise in Gaza after an explosion as seen from the Israeli side of the border on July 6, 2025. The first session of indirect Hamas-Israel ceasefire talks in Qatar ended inconclusively. Two Palestinian sources familiar with the matter said early on Monday, July 7, 2025, adding that the Israeli delegation did not have a sufficient mandate to reach an agreement with the Hamas. Israeli airstrikes killed 38 Palestinians in Gaza as trusty negotiating team head to Qatar. Hospital officials in Gaza say that Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 33 Palestinians. Smoke from an Israeli bombardment rises over the Gaza Strip, seen from the southern Israel on July 6, 2025. Israeli airstrikes killed at least 38 Palestinians in Gaza hospital, officials said on Sunday, July 6, 2025, as Israel was sending a ceasefire negotiating team to Qatar ahead by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's White House visitors for talk toward a deal. United States President Donald Trump, who will meet with Mr. Netanyahu on Monday, July 7, 2025, that is tomorrow, has floated a plan for an initial 60-day ceasefire that would include a partial release of hostages held by Hamas in the exchange for an increase in humanitarian supplies allowed into the Gaza. The proposed truce calls for the talks on ending the 21-month war altogether. Crew abandons Liberian flagged Greek ownership attack in the Red Sea, says United Kingdom military. The United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations Centre has said that the armored security team on the ship had returned fire and that the situation is ongoing. Yemen's Houthi rebels have been launched a missile and drone attacks against commercial and military ships in the region in what the group's leader has described as an effort to end Israel's offensive against Hamas. Crew members aboard a Liberian flagged ship set ablaze by a series of attacks in the Red Sea abandoned the vessel on Sunday, July 6, 2025, night as it took on water, marking the first serious assault in the vital corridor for trade after the months-long campaign by the Yemen's Houthi rebels there. Suspicion for the attack on the Greek-owned bulk carrier Magic Seas immediately fell on the Houthis, particularly as a security firm said. It appeared bomb-carrying drone boats hit the ship after it was targeted by small arms and rocket-propelled grenades. The rebels media reported on the attack but did not claim it. It can take them hours or even days before they acknowledge as assault. According to the Hindustan Times newspaper, states that no double standards on terror break Islam Pahalgam attack in strong declaration. The British declaration condemned all acts of terrorism as a criminal and unjustifiable. The terror attack in Jammu and Kashmir state on April 22, which claimed the lives of 26 civilians and led to 4 days of hostilities between India and Pakistan. After New Delhi targeted terror infrastructure across the border was denounced in the strongly worded leaders' declaration adopted at the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro. It has stepped up efforts to secure the bloc, is begging for its new approach to fighting cross-border terror. Chief Justice of India, Gawai, flags drift from the bail's rule and jail the exception. Justice Gawai's remark is aimed at increasing judicial and public scrutiny over the delayed bill hearings. Chief Justice of India, C.J. Bhushan Gawai on Sunday lamented that the Indian judiciary and somewhat lost sight of the cardinal legal principle that bail is the rule and the jail is the exception, while underlining the pressing need to reinforce the constitutional value of the personal liberty. Delivering the 11th Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer Memorial Law Lecture in Kochi, Justice Gawai expressed concern over the growing culture of prolonged incarceration of under trials and the tendency of courts to prioritize the custodial detention over bail. In the recent past, their principle bail is the rule was somewhat forgotten, he said, referring to Justice Krishna Iyer's pioneering contributions to bail in jurisprudence and a human criminal procedure. It was Justice Iyer who laid down this principle through his judgment and fiercely compassionate it. Now going towards the economy of the country from the business point of view, the Reserve Bank of India has done its job. Availability of capital not an issue for industry. CIA President. According to CIA President Rajiv Memani, there is a noise around the issue of private sector investment. Industry is largely in favor of free trade agreements. Confederation of Indian Industry One President Raju Mirmani. The Reserve Bank of India has done its job very proactively, and the availability of the capital for Indian industry is not an issue, according to the Confederation of Indian Industry President Raju Mirmani. Mirmani, who took over as the head of the industry body from the ITC Limited, Sanjay Puri, last month, also said the Indian Central Bank is working to simplify the circular. In a wide-ranging interview with the Agamwalia and Siddhartha Upasana, Memani, chairman and the chief executive officer of EY India, also discussed the pace of a private investment, the adoption and impact of artificial intelligence AI on jobs, how Indian companies are gearing up to meet the challenges that will come from the free trade agreement being signed by the government and China's grip on the rare earth magnets. Now going towards the economy of the country from a business point of view, once again, station cleaning railway board asks DRM to identify 10 areas which need special attention. The daily review starting from July 1st, 2025 with 1 to 2 shortlisted divisions on the nominated paces will be conducted by the railway board, preferably on a daily basis in the afternoon around 4 p.m. The station cleaning work is being monitored on a day-to-day basis for a board's Swatch Station WhatsApp group. Delhi, the railway station cleanliness is paramount to sustain passenger satisfaction. The railway board has issued an order to all regional railway managers. DRM is asking them to identify 10 district areas which they directed attention to cleaning work at each station. The new battlefield, the artificial intelligence-based warfare in the genetic age, multi-domain ops, and energy as a big constraining factor. Fields such as big data analysis, machine learning, predictive analysis, and the natural language. And the natural language processing needs a lot of energy, including a vast spinning reserves of a grid power. Every poor China's deep-seek model to guard a frenzy in the artificial intelligence world. Its People Liberation Army has started to deploy artificial intelligence across its major war-fighting functions under a somewhat banner called intelligent warfare. Beijing is alert to be taking a guided approach by starting with applying it to artificial intelligence to improve the performance of battlefield equipment such as artillery system by cutting the interval needed between each shot while improving accuracy, as well as integrating generative artificial intelligence with the military drones to automatically target opponents' rear riders with the better precision as soon as they come on. The deep-seek advances could only help China build on its military artificial intelligence difficulties. Steady lakes, air pollution to prepare births, low birth rate in India. The study has also found that Bihar, Punjab, and Haryana and Uttar Pradesh will be the burnt of reproductive consequences of the behavior. Sanitation workers working in the smog in the Gurgaon overnight 2024. Air pollution. It was unenduring. Every day, but millions across the Indian in varying degrees has long been associated with a range of respiratory disease, heart conditions, and growing list of the health issues. Now, a new study reveals the damaging effect of air pollution extended far beyond the lungs and heart, affecting the people before they are even born. Published in PLOS Global Public Health. The study was carried out by researchers from the institutions in India, Thailand, Ireland, and the United Kingdom with the data from the National Family Health Survey. Along with the satellite data, the team assessed the influence of the ambient air quality on birth outcomes, specifically preterm births and low birth rate (LBW). The Data set included children aged 0 to 5 years, 52% were the female and 48% male. From Science and Tech, we have United States plans to shut observatory that capture reality of climate change. United States President Donald Trump has decided to defund the Mauna Loa Observatory. A view of Mauna Loa from near the Oizuko Center of International Astronomy Visitor Information Station. The greenhouse effect was discovered more than 150 years ago, and the first scientific paper linking carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere with the climatic change was published in the 1896. But it was not until the 1950s that the scientists could definitely detect the human effect of human activities on the Earth's atmosphere. What is Helgoland? Aerial view of Helgoland 2021. Helgoland is a peak of red sandstones. Cliffs are rising from the North Sea above the 50 kilometer of Germany's coast. Barely a square kilometer in area, it was once a naval fortress and a later holiday spot for the people seeking fresh air. In the month of June 1925, that air changed physics Werner Heisenberg, 23, and tormented by the heavy fever in the Göttingen, fled to Helgoland so he could breathe and think nights on the island, while long and quiet. So he paced the rocks and scribbled in a notebook. In this time, he had a momentous realization. He dropped the idea of the electron orbiting an atom nucleus in the favor of only those facts that fit experimental data. The frequencies and strengths of the light a atom absorbs or emit. Kerala to launch antibody surveillance studies on Nipah virus. The study is expected to provide robust data on NIV seroprevalence in the high-risk human and animal population in Kerala, and open the door to the mystery of NIV and disease spillover and transmission pattern in the state. The possibility that NIV transmission to humans could be through the fruits bitten by the bats has remained conjecture at best, because NIV has never been isolated in the fruit sample collected and tested during the outbreaking investigation in Kerala. Nipah virus NIV has surfaced in Kerala yet again, making this the 8th appearance in as many years. But a virus spillover single index case with no secondary case in the community to outbreaks spillover with subsequent cases. Kerala has primed its response to the virus, seamlessly managing early detection, limiting the transmission, and successful saving lives. However, in all these encounters with NIV, researchers have identified several missing links or knowledge gaps. These pertain to exact virus spillway mechanisms from bats. The fruit bats of the Pteropus species are the prone naturally reservoir hosts of NIV to humans. The recurrence of spillover events outbreaks in a specific geographic field in the northern Kerala, and how exactly human behavior and use and bat ecology interactions are facilitating the virus spillovers. At last, there is a famous personality of India who is known by his famous name, Mary Teresa Bojaziho. That is Mother Teresa, born on 26th of August 1910 up to 5 September 1997, better known as Mother Teresa or Saint Mother Teresa, was Albanian Catholic nun, founder of the Missionary of Charity and the Catholic saint, born in Skopje. Then part of the Ottoman Empire, she was raised in the devotedly Catholic family. At the age of 18, she moved to Ireland to join the Sisters of the Loreto, and later to India, where she lived most of her life and carried out her missionary work. On 4 September 2016, she was canonized by the Catholic Church as the Saint of Teresa of Calcutta. The anniversary of her death, 5 September, is now observed as her feast day. Mother Teresa founded the Missionaries of Charity and Religious Congregation that was initially dedicated to serving the poorest of the poor in the slums of Calcutta. Over the decades, the congregation grew to operate in over 133 countries as of 2012, with more than 4,500 nuns managing homes for those dying from the HIV/AIDS, leprosy, and tuberculosis, as well as the running soap kitchens, dispensaries, mobile clinics, orphanages, and schools. Member of the order take vows, chastity, poverty, and obedience, and also profess a fourth vow to give the wholehearted free service to the poorest of the poor. Mother Teresa received several honors, including 1962 Roman Magsaysay Peace Prize and the 1979 Nobel Peace Prize. Her life and work have inspired books, documentaries, and films. Her authorized biography, written by Navin Chawla, was published in 1992, and on September 6, 2017, she was named a co-patron of the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Calcutta alongside Saint Francis Xavier. However, she also drew criticism for near staunch opposition to abortion, divorce, and contraception, as well as the poor conditions and lack of medical care of pain relief in her house for the dying. Mother Teresa says a very famous quotation. She says that let's not use bombs and cannons to overcome the world. Let's use love and compassion. Peace begins with a smile. Smile 5 times a day at someone you don't really want to smile at. Do it for peace. She also says that a life not lived for others is not a life. Okay, thank you.